Hi, I'm Joshua Alexander, mental health freedom fighter, and I want to talk about how important it is to know the cause of symptoms in order to heal, right? Because there's so many hacks in the health trends out there, and there's so many theories, medical theories, without real evidence behind it. And with mental illness symptoms, there's no diagnostic tests, right? So it's not, they're not really measuring something they're not working with numbers, the way engineering works. They're basically just observing behaviors and they're putting a name to label the symptoms, basically. And then they're theorizing about why it's happening. So it's so critical to know what's causing symptoms in order to be able to heal for the long haul. Because you can try things in life that produce results for a short period of time, and then you end up worse later. So I went off medication twice during my illness, during my decade-long illness. I went off medication and then relapsed 9 months later. And then a few years later, I tried going off medication again, relapsed again 9 months later. So, someone could be trying something, they could be getting some results, and then later they could end up worse off. And I've seen this with the high-fat, high-protein trends over the years. People have gone on these high-fat, high-protein trends. They've lowered their carbs, including healthy sugars, and they end up losing some weight. They end up getting some benefits, right? So they're cleaning up their diet a little bit. They're starting to get some benefits, and that's great. Like, that could be helpful for people who aren't really that severely ill to get off of processed foods, kind of eat a little healthier, and get some improvements. And that's wonderful. But the problem is there's long-term consequences because the human body runs on glucose and mineral salts, and the high-fat diets cause us to run on adrenaline. They thicken the blood, which causes our adrenals to excrete adrenaline to thin our blood. They create insulin resistance because the glucose can't get into the cells with the fat in the bloodstream, so our pancreas has to release insulin to drive the glucose into the cells. They prevent our body from being able to detox and get toxic heavy metals out of our liver and our brain. They make our body acidic, which leaches minerals out of our bones and teeth. They line the gut and rot and turn rancid and just overall, eventually long-term, diminish our health. I'm not even talking about heart attacks, strokes, kidney stones, kidney failure, gallbladder problems, needing gallbladders taken out, developing diabetes. I'm not even talking about all those things. I'm talking about chronic illness symptoms, fatigue, aches and pains, neurological illnesses, and people are getting sicker and sicker. And there's some well-intentioned people out there, some not well-intentioned in the industry, but there are some practitioners out there who are trying to help people, and they're finding these theories and they're seeing some improvements, but they're not understanding the long-term consequences. There haven't been decade-long studies. There haven't been people with serious mental illness who have tried some of these trends, healed, and then watched for decades and have large populations of this. So it's not real science. It's basically a few people seeing some results, thinking they found the Holy Grail, and then sharing it, or even sharing it while they're trying it. Like, there are people sharing as they're trying trends on the internet, they're sharing it, which I didn't do. I waited till I got results before sharing it. So it seems a little negligent to me to be trying new things and then sharing it. That seems like kind of an experiment. So there are people like literally going off their medication with mental illness symptoms, trying these new trends like high fat, high protein, and then sharing it while they're trying it. So like 3 years from now, 5 years from now, they could be worse off than ever, and we wouldn't know. People are going to, thousands of people are going to end up trying it. So it's really tricky in the health realm. There's so much misinformation. There's so much funded information, agendas, people trying to make money, people trying to, make a name for themselves. There's so much confusion in the health realm. It doesn't help that the conventional medical model isn't really set up to help us heal. It's kind of set up to just sell drugs and keep us sick. So that doesn't really help. But even the alternative trends are all really bad. There's empires. There's just empires built. So how do you heal for the long term, for a lifetime, right? You want to be people who get sick with mental illness symptoms like I did in the early 20s. You want to live in your 30s. You want to live in your 40s. You want to live in your 50s. You want to live in your 60s. You don't want to be like developing neurological symptoms in middle age and, not being able to function, not being able, having brain fog, muscle weakness, which is happening on a larger and larger scale. People are getting sicker and sicker. And I'm very concerned about the trends that I'm seeing. And I'm concerned about people with mental illness symptoms because they've always been experimented on, like the lobotomies, for example, the electric shock therapies, for example. People, when the medical industry doesn't know what's causing something, they go to it's in your head. And this happened in the 1950s. Women were starting to get fatigue, aches and pains, all these types of symptoms. And the industry basically just said it's in your head because they didn't have a way to make money on it at that time until they developed hormone therapy. But it's basically just, the mental illness diagnosis people are just experimented on and harmed. And I'm seeing these high-fat, high-protein trends now being targeted towards people with mental illness symptoms. And some people who were functioning, but having some symptoms do seem to get a little bit of improvements, but we don't know what they're going to be like in 5 years or 10 years. We don't know if they're going to make it into old age. Like we don't know the long-term consequences of these things because these trends are not based on reality of how the body works. The body runs on glucose and mineral salts. Every cell in our body needs glucose, healthy glucose, to function. Nutrients can't enter our cells without glucose. So when we're eating high fat, low carb, we're actually creating all these problems in the body. We're getting some sugar from the blood sugar of the animal in the meat, right? We're getting some sugar if they're allowing like some berries in the diet or some other foods. But what they're doing is they're depleting their glucose reserves in their liver. They're depleting the glucose storage in their brain, which eventually they're going to hit a wall. Eventually they're going to run out. Their liver's going to max out from getting clogged up with all this high fat. Their glucose reserves are going to run out. Their adrenals are going to burn out from all the high fat. It's like adrenaline's pumping every day, basically. So their adrenals are going to burn out, and they're going to start getting neurological symptoms, and then they're going to be wedged into a really difficult corner, really, really difficult corner. It's not going to be pretty. It's already happening. People are developing neurological symptoms all over the place, and it's going to be much, much worse in a few years. And it's really concerning to me, and it's upsetting to me that this is being experimented on people with mental illness symptoms because they're always abused, literally. It's terrifying. It's upsetting. It's heartbreaking. I want these people to get better. I like that they're seeing some improvements, but they have to realize that it's just a theory. It's not actually based on how the body works, and it's not actually based on knowing why people are sick. Mental illness symptoms are caused by viruses and toxic heavy metals, okay? So, that's what's actually causing the symptoms. Mercury in the brain, disrupting nerve signals, is creating the psychosis, right? Viruses excreting neurotoxins, affecting the nervous system, creating depression or anxiety. Neurotoxins landing on the vagus nerve, creating anxiety. So, that's what's actually causing the symptoms. And in order to heal long term, for the long haul, you have to be able to get the toxic heavy metals out, which can't be done in a high fat diet. It can't. The blood fat blocks the metals from coming out of the liver. The liver won't detox with so much fat in the diet. You can't get metals out of the brain with high fat in the diet. You got to be like low fat or no fat. Like with serious mental illness, you got to be no fat to get the metals out of the brain, really, which is what I've done. And I've been medication free for over 11 years, fully healed from schizoaffective disorder, serious mental illness symptoms. And, so they're not going to be able to get the metals out. Viruses thrive on in a high fat environment because it's lower oxygen. Adrenaline weakens immune systems, which helps viruses to thrive. And when you're eating high fat, there's not enough room to get the antiviral herbs in that you need, the antiviral foods, right, that are going to knock down the viruses to actually heal depression and anxiety. So you can hack your way to symptoms. You can kind of force the body into a crisis state to kind of hack your way into symptoms temporarily, and then you can kind of get by for a while, but eventually, reality wins, and it's people are gonna be struggling, and I'm really concerned. So, anyone listening to this, I would wait. Like 3 years, 5 years. Watch people in the who have healed with medical medium, like me, for example. My channel for 7 years, I've been consistent with medical medium information. If you watch other people's channels in health for 7 years, you'll see that they're changing what they're trying, right? So they're just trying things that seem to work, then don't work, then trying something else that seems to work, then don't work. Now they're trying this high fat thing, which seems to work, but then won't work. So follow different people for a number of years and look back and see if they've been consistent and if they're actually healed, long term. So that's what I would say. I would read the medical medium books, read Brain Saver. It goes in depth into how the brain works, what causes mental illness symptoms, how to heal. The links are in the description for the Brain Saver books. And I would just study and the medical medium information just makes sense because it actually explains what's actually happening. Another thing is these high fat, high protein trends, they're talking about metabolism, which is basically meaningless. The metabolism was just a discovery like hundreds of years ago that the body's alive. Like we eat nutrients, we use it, and then we excrete. Like that's basically what metabolism is. So to talk about metabolism, it's all meaningless, basically just theory, because what causes the symptoms that people associate with metabolism is a high fat liver, sluggish liver. So it's how toxic is your liver. That's what causes these symptoms. So weight gain, for example, people say, oh, it's your metabolism. That's because your liver is high fat and toxic and sluggish, and that's overflowing and causing weight to go onto the body, right? It has nothing to do with metabolism. Metabolism just means we're alive. And Medical Medium has a couple podcasts on metabolism. If you're interested, listen to it, right? Because medical medium information is not based on theory, because it's not man-made. It comes from above. It's based on how the body actually works, and the information heals. And there's thousands of testimonials. I'm one of them. And it's the only pure, untampered with, clean source of information in health. And after over 25 years of searching in health, trying all the different trends, seeing all the different trends out there, seeing people who've been sick, I've finally, found medical medium and found the truth. And that's why I've been consistent with it for 7 years. I've been practicing it, on my channel. I've been practicing it for over 9 years at this point, implementing it into my life and healing and getting better every year. So that's my hard-earned 2 cents from all the years of my suffering and all the years of my searching. And that's what's going to get you there out of the woods for the long haul, long term, to truly heal the symptoms. So I wish you well. God bless you. Happy healing.